Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review brought to you from the Toronto Film Festival. This film here, again, Toronto did a good job of the two films that I saw that were based in the sports film category. And this is the second one. This one is called Unstoppable. Here's a quick synopsis. Born with one leg, Anthony Robles defies expectations to become a champion wrestler in college, competing against the very school that rejected him. This one is directed by William Goldberg, and it stars Jharrel, Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, and Barbie Carnival, Michael Pena, and Don Cheadle. The cast here is absolutely phenomenal. That was a lot of people that make this film great here. But this film is anchored completely by Jharrel Jerome, as he plays Anthony here, brilliantly in this film. And then it's backed up, surprisingly to a lot of people, by Jennifer Lopez, who plays Anthony's mom here. As we're introduced early on in the film to Anthony, and we're introduced to the story that most people know of him being this wrestler with one leg. And we see him win the national championship in high school, and him thinking that that is going to be the thing that's going to make Iowa the biggest wrestling school to him in the world want him, because he's the champion. And instead they go with the kid that he beat. And we understand why at that point they went for it, because he's still missing one leg. So no matter what, it weighs you from the beginning to let you understand just how important it is that Anthony's mentality of him understanding that him having one leg is not a weakness, how important that is to the rest of this film. Where Unstoppable excels to a level that completely surprised me is as much of this film is shot on wrestling, and you get to see the aspects of wrestling. We get to see Anthony do everything humanly possible to become great. We also get to equally see the family side, and we get to see all the struggles with him, his mom, his siblings, and his stepdad. And when we get to see those elements, this film just catapults to a different level here. And that's what makes this great. Anthony's story is so well known to so many people. As we know from high school, he ends up walking on Arizona State, and we get to see everything he did to walk on Arizona State. And he meets his coach, being played by Don Cheadle here, who amazingly never really looked down on him because he had one leg. He just looked at the kid's determination to see if this is something he really wanted. And that's an element of this film that's highly important, because it's also teaching anyone who watches it that just because other people may think you have a disability does not mean you have to think you have a disability. And we get to see Anthony push harder and harder and harder for him to reach his goal. And then we get his high school coach, played by Michael Pena, in another amazing role. Michael Pena is one of those actors that he's a hidden talent in almost every film he's in, because he can steal every scene humanly possible, either with his comedic timing or here with just a touching, dramatic performance here that works wonders for this film. But again, the thing that surprised me the most is Jennifer Lopez's performance in this film. It is a standout here, as we get to see her playing Anthony's mom, everything she had to do to keep her family together, and everything she did for her son to let him know he was no different than anybody else. And again, it's anchored by an amazing performance by Jharrel Jerome, who at this point, he could possibly be one of the best actors going in this business right now. While this film is still directed well, scored well, acted amazingly well, especially Barbie. Barbie's also super amazing and super irritating in this film as a stepdad who didn't have a problem attempting to break Anthony down at any given time. The film still feels like it's missing an element that will make it great. And that missing element is as simple as saying that it just doesn't push the family dynamic far enough into the forefront to get you to understand everything that Anthony overcame. We get to see the disability that he overcame, but we don't get to see the family elements fully that he overcame. We see enough of it to make the story interesting, but I think a little bit more in this film would have been great. Instead, this is still a very good sports drama. Definitely something that you need to check out. And it moves rather well, briskly and quickly. It's not a film that just gives you filler material for no reason, because Anthony's life is still so interesting. And again, I hate to harp on it, but the point that you're showing the family element of it, just as much as you're showing the sports element of it, makes this film amazing. And then the cinematography around the sports scenes here, which after the filming, they talked about just how those sports films were shot and that there was real wrestling involved, and that Jharrel had to be taught how to wrestle, and he was taught by Anthony, who's also his body double in the film. All of that story is immaculate, and when you see it on film, this is some of the best shot wrestling I've ever seen in a movie. Like, they took their time to make sure that that sports element was real, and it's depicted in a way that you understand the anguish it was for Anthony to do all of this with one leg and everything he had to persevere to get there. This is definitely an overly inspirational film that at times can get lost in its inspiration. But I think with the two performances by Jennifer and Jharrel, it helps bring it back to you. It helps you understand exactly just how powerful this film is. So, Unstoppable brought you from the Toronto Film Festival. Out of a possible 10, I'm going to give Unstoppable an 8.5 out of 10. This is a film you need to see. From top to bottom, this is some of the best performances you're going to get this year. Definitely some of the best performances you're going to see in a sports film done not only this year, possibly within the last 10 years. This is one of the best sports dramas done in that time frame because, again, it gives a different element to the sports drama of that family perspective that we don't get to see. Most sports films, they'll show you a little bit of the family and get right back to the sports action. Here, it's equal amount of time spent on both, because you fully need to understand everything that Anthony went through, and you need to understand everything his mom went through to get him to get Anthony to reach his dreams. And that is the element of this film that is absolutely amazing here. Again, also anchored by amazing performances by the entire cast here. This is definitely something you got to check out. But let us know what you think when it drops. This has been another JVS movie review brought to you from the Toronto Film Festival. Peace, people.